Hello everybody, here to do the last part of my monthly garden walk. This one's going to be on my walnut orchard. Everything out here has to be jug loan tolerant. So here we have a almond crossed with a peach. So it's a cold hardy almond, but I have been told that you should always cook it rather than eat it outright. I have a bunch of hopness out here, and it seems to be struggling with the fact that it's hit the top of the trellis. It's confused as to what to do. So I'm just going to kind of try to teach it to climb it some more. But yep, hopness, one of the great food sources in permaculture that I think will be bigger and bigger as time goes on. But they climb all over. I planted them last spring, and they survived, thrived, overwintered, and now they're much stronger this year. I'll probably have a lot of them to harvest to propagate. These are all an improved variety from the LSU breeding program. So, amazing plant, climbing through the middle of my trellis all around here too. There are no flowers on it right now, but they've climbed up this hollyhock and helped stabilize it. Now this hollyhock has seed heads that are ready to gently strip off and take with me. Hollyhocks are much like marshmallow in that they have a disc of seeds inside. There's part of the disc that just broke off. So you can just break these apart. Works better when it's drier. We just had a storm. But you break these apart and you can walk around and just kind of toss them everywhere. There's also some skirret. These are all skirret blooms, quite pretty, much like a carrot. They're in the same family. Over here we have a wild plum. Over there, another wild plum. Over there's a nanny berry. Over on this side, another nanny berry. Here we have one of my most healthy shagbark hickories. I want shagbark hickories for bat habitat. Hickories do produce jug loam, so if you're going to grow hickories, be aware of that. They'll poison apples and other very sensitive crops. Let's see, as I step into here, I hadn't realized how well that squash is growing. I believe that this is a, Long Island cheese. So Cucurbita machata. There's one of my Japanese walnuts, taller than me this year. I planted them last year. Here we have a comfrey Bocking number 4. It's been knocked back. It was huge, but I broke it apart, broke it into pieces, and took all the pieces out across the chestnuts to start planting them out. 14 is what I have in my apple orchard, and it is better as a medicine. And 4 is better as an animal fodder. They can eat up to 20% of their diet on comfrey and not have any major problems. Over here we've got a raspberry, bush bean. There's just some small little fruit starting to form on this squash, not much. Another raspberry right there. Here we have one of my very much struggling shagbarks. Here we have a big volunteer sunflower. I wonder if somehow maybe it's one of my Hopi purple dye sunflowers or Hopi black dye sunflowers. Thornless honey locust, beautiful foliage, nitrogen fixing, and it's got hopness growing all the way up through it as well. Hopness is a great thing. I love having it. Right there we've got, I think it's beard tongue, but some sort of plant. We've got a pawpaw that was eaten to the ground last year, and it's come back from the root, so while I've lost the graft, it's still a nice thing to see. Up front here, we've got a lot of bee balm and beans growing around here. But, yep, and underneath the beans is still what I was worried was gone. Here's one of my currants. One of my Crandall clove currants. Very hard to find them this year. Paid a lot of money for them, so make sure it doesn't get totally shaded out. But, yep, bee balm around it, so the smell of the bee balm should keep pests away. We'll walk out this way. Right now I have 2 of them that I know for sure are alive. I bought 4 total, but that is a cold hardy pecan, or pecan, depending how you pronounce it. Over here's another cold hardy pecan. Pecan's how I grew up saying it. Yep. So they're starting out. They can apparently pollinate my shagbarks and vice versa, so they shouldn't have pollination issues. Some beans around the base and a nice healthy grafted pawpaw that I got from One Green World. Doing quite well. A red bud that popped up on its own. Another Japanese walnut, tall as me finally. Stepping in here, this currant did not do well. It was a red currant. I don't know that I was ever going to be impressed with the flavor to begin with. We're walking back across the same path here, sorry. I could be doing this more efficiently. But, right over here, another volunteer redbud in the mulch. Beautiful daylily that I got from Bluestone Perennials. While it's looking fairly rough right now, right there is a American Persimmon. I don't remember if this is Proc or what variety name this is, but I remember that it's self-fertile variety. Here we have my other 2 pecans. And to me that looks like a dead tree. I don't know where all this trash blew in from. We did just have a storm. I'll be out here with a bag to pick it up in a bit. But right over here, yep, to me those look completely dead. But you never know. We'll give them some chance. We'll give them some time. Both of the, well, 2 of my 3 shagbarks I was totally convinced were dead, but they've bounced back. Here we have another one of my Japanese walnuts. This one's tallest tip right here. Just rests on top of my shoulder, so it's not as big as the others, but it's getting pretty big. My other thornless honey locust, just a beautiful tree. Some people are starting to say that they don't fix nitrogen, but I kind of doubt that. They just grow too well in too many harsh spots, in my opinion. My last Japanese walnut. These are grafted on American black walnut rootstock. It makes them live a lot longer, grow a lot straighter, produce a lot more per tree. And it means that as long as I collect all the nuts, they can't escape and go invasive out here. And over here, again, it's not looking great, but here's one of my shagbarks that I was kind of given up on, and it's popped back. Over here, we're getting into tree tubes. The first 2 tree tubes over here are my, don't know how well you can see through any of that. Too bright out for me to see what you can see, but that's a Bart nut, an American white walnut crossed with a heart nut. Another 2 wild plums. Wild plum foliage apparently is very popular with deer, so I put them on both sides so as the deer sneak through, they might eat my plants a little less aggressively. Another Bart nut right there. And from here on out, it's all chestnuts. And last I checked, all of them that I planted are alive. They might not all be thriving exactly. They might all have different struggles, but they're all alive. Right there is a, oh, what's the word? Hackberry. Yep. They might not be doing amazing, but they're alive. Now as we keep walking, I'll close this down soon. I'm not going to drag this through the next 2 acres of all just the same thing. But looks like we've got a volunteer squash from last year. This is where I was growing my Seminoles, and the Seminole seeds ended up being all crossed up. It looks like Seminole for the most part. Maybe it's crossed with a Tromboncino, but yeah. So a couple of squash out here that I wasn't banking on, but right like that, popped right out the top. So some of these are going extremely well. And around the base of a couple of these, there are now comfrey that I have stuck in the ground. Right there's one. So there's a comfrey plant. So even though I just stepped on it, it won't mind that much. So a comfrey plant there, and everywhere I start one, I can then of course propagate from it later. There's another one right there, another comfrey. So yeah, that one plant I bought this spring has turned into a bunch. Another chestnut that's growing well. Now I'm just going to walk over here for a nice pretty outro by this ironweed. Each individual flower isn't too showy, but that bright purple is rare to see in nature. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video as soon as I can. Goodbye.